In this video, I am going to talk to you about purchase money security interests, or PMSIs, under Article 9 of the Uniform Commercial Code. A purchase money security interest, or PMSI, is a security interest in which an obligor, in whole or in part, gives money to a debtor to acquire collateral, or they extend value or credit to a debtor to acquire rights or interest in collateral. A purchase money security interest is a super priority security interest. A purchase money security interest, or PMSI, will trump the security interests of other creditors with perfected security interests in the same collateral. To give you an example, there are a few situations where these interests attach. Number one, a purchase money security interest automatically attaches to consumer goods. So when a debtor gets or receives value in whole or in part to acquire rights or interests in collateral that are in the nature of consumer goods, these interests automatically perfect themselves. The reason being is that it's thought that from a policy perspective, typically when you're dealing with a consumer good like a television or a refrigerator and someone gives you credit or extends credit to you on your behalf to acquire rights or interests in that collateral, you typically aren't going to go out and pledge that collateral multiple times to multiple creditors. So that's a policy concern that we're always worried about: secret liens and multiple creditors being defrauded. So when it comes to consumer goods, PMSIs and consumer goods, these perfect themselves automatically. On the other hand, for all other goods, for non-consumer goods, goods that take on more of a commercial nature, a PMSI must be perfected within 20 days after the debtor receives the collateral. So this is really important. The creditor has to go out and file a UCC-1 financing statement so that their interest is perfected. And I want to take this a step further. There's also a special category that demands a little bit more attention. Oftentimes when it comes to inventory, for example, there might be multiple creditors who have secured interests in a secured parties or debtors inventory. So Article 9 of the UCC, specifically Section 9-324B, demands that when it comes to inventory, that the PMSI creditor do a little bit more to perfect and have their security interests attached to that particular category of goods. For example, the PMSI lender, when it comes to inventory, must give authenticated notice to any perfected creditors who have security rights or interests in the inventory of the debtor. So they have to give prior notice. That notice has to be authenticated, and more particularly, they can give notice up to 5 years before they start to extend credit to the debtor when it comes to inventory. So I could notify you 5 years in advance and say to you, I know that you're an existing inventory creditor of the debtor, and I plan to extend value for them to acquire additional or after acquired inventory, which your security interests might affect. But as long as I give you authenticated notice up to 5 years before I extend value, and I do so before I do in fact extend value and put you on notice, then I will be protected as a PMSI lender with a super priority over an existing creditor when it comes to similar or the same collateral that might be impacted by the debtor. So just to recap, there are a few important things to know and remember when it comes to purchase money security interests and PMSIs under Article 9. Number one, in particular, these interests are automatically perfected when it comes to consumer goods. With respect to non-consumer goods, The PMSI creditor must perfect by filing a UCC-1 financing statement their security interest within 20 days after the debtor receives value or their extended credit on behalf of the creditor. So if you get to day 21 or day 22, for example, and you haven't filed a UCC-1 financing statement, then you will be treated as an unsecured creditor. Your security interest, where it should have had super priority over other creditors, now gets knocked down to the lowest peg and the lowest scale. So you lose all priority and you become an unperfected creditor of that particular debtor. And again, there are a couple special categories that that demand additional attention. And one that really sticks out most notably is inventory. Before a PMSI lender extends credit, they must give authenticated notice to existing inventory creditors of that particular debtor. That notice can retroactively apply up to 5 years if that notice is in fact given before the creditor extends interest. So these are the important things to remember about PMSIs. These are a special category of super priority lien that have a lot of relevance in the business and transactional world that are really important in arranging financing for businesses on a going basis. Thank you for tuning in. I hope this video helped.